Okay, let's go.
All right, we're hot friends of the Coachella Valley. Jose here for the New Mindset. Well, today I have a very unique podcast, something I've never done before. I'm actually interviewing somebody that's across the northern. You're in North California, correct?
Yeah, Folsom.
Folsom. Oh my gosh, I've never done this before, and the reason I want to make this work is because you have such a fantastic story to tell. You're an amazing individual, and you said one thing that caught my attention. I asked you to send me some photos so I can create the trailer for your episode, and I was imagining this guy. Let me tell you, I'm gonna be honest with you. Your voice is so unique. I was imagining this like 30-year-old guy that's kind of like this thin dude that's kind of working out a little bit and stuff, and like just I was thinking, oh, it's just this guy that goes out running every day and like he's listening. And man, you have such a presence, brother. Your image, it's wow, man. You're impressive, just in your photos, man. You're amazing. So, enough of my patting your back. Please introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
My name's Josif Todorovits. I currently train people for a living, or the way that I like to say it, I like to impact lives for a living. Very, very rewarding experience that I get to do. I'm humbled and honored to be able to impact the lives that I do, all walks of life for that matter.
Yes, sir. And thank you so much for being on this podcast, man. Now, I know we're in the Coachella Valley. The reason you and I connected was through Tisha Vaculin, who I had on my episode previously. How did you guys meet, by the way?
At the gym. I was the manager at 24 Hour Fitness on Sunrise, and she was an active client of one of my friends, Tiffany, that currently I work with right now. So I've known Tiffany for 12 years, and they were clients, and she used to come in there and train with Tiffany with her daughter. Now her daughter's grown.
Oh, that's awesome. And so Let me ask you about your roots, man. Let's just cut straight to it. Tell me where you come from, because you didn't grow up in the Coachella Valley. You didn't grow up in California. Where'd you come from?
I was born in Timișoara, Romania, 1979, and it was a communistic country. Nicolae Ceausescu was the dictator at the time. And my dad was in the military. My mom was a single child, and they just wanted better for us. So I applied for a visa. It took about 7 years. And in 1983, March 11th, we moved to Mobile, Alabama, stayed there for about a year, and then moved to Houston, Texas, stayed there for about another year, then eventually landed in Sacramento, California, in an area known as Oak Park. So a very, very rough area, predominantly African-American. And then second would be Hispanics. And I didn't speak English. So Romanian is a Latin language.
Right.
And there was only two Romanian families, myself and another one that was 4 doors down. So I'm not exactly sure what it's like down there. I just know about it, but I've been to LA before. So it's very, very gang infested. In the 80s and 90s, it was rough. So that's where I grew up. We landed there. But my parents came from a communistic country. So ghettos back then were a lot different. Like we came here to America and they walked in and they had supermarkets with food on the shelves. Where in Romania at the time, that just it wasn't heard of. So to them, anything better than being there. So that's where I grew up. And
tell me a little bit more about, you and I already talked before this interview, and so something about your past that's very interesting is that you not only have you come from a communist country, not only have you been here with your family and raised in the States, but you also had a bit of a tough life. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, I had a very rough upbringing at home. So dad was an alcoholic, very, very abusive, mentally, physically, emotionally, and from the time I was 10, I was involved in gangs. And when I was 10 years old, I really didn't understand what that meant to be in a gang, but I knew what it meant not to be at home. And I actually enjoyed not being at home more than I enjoyed being at home. So I had a friend, his name's Ted, and all of his cousins were in gangs, an Hispanic gang. And I decided to join a gang when I was 10. So I got initiated, jumped in, and the rest is history. From the time I was 12 until I went to the California Youth Authority, I was in and out of juvenile detention centers. I've been in countless fights. One of the first people that I pulled a gun out was my dad. Wanted to kill him when I was 12. I mean, he was very, very, very extremely violent.
Wow.
And then eventually ended up in prison, did 12 years in prison for attempted murder, more gang-related stuff. Somebody owed me some money, really over $300, and because of pride, I couldn't let it go. And I literally hunted this person for 4 months, and eventually shot somebody in the process, and I got told on, and went to prison for 12 years. So prison is definitely an interesting place,
right.
Maximum security prison, and I didn't want to be there. I knew that I was going to be there for 12 years, so.
Right.
I grew up with gangs, though. I grew up with violence. I've been in countless fights.
Right.
I've been in fights with my father. Very, very negative person. Hated him. Still hate him. And I actually learned a lot about myself in prison. So sometimes people go to prison and they end up jailing and doing more prison stuff. I did too, right. For many, many years. Somewhere along the lines, I decided to want to get out. I think I had an epiphany. I was asked to kill one of my inmate, cellie. The individual never came to the cell, and I remember thinking to myself, "My God, this is going to be my life forever. I'm going to have to kill people. I'm going to have to possibly get killed. I've been in many, many fights. I'm going to end up dying in here. Either I'm going to get stabbed or I'm going to get shot by a guard." And I didn't know what to do because from the time I was 10 until I think at that time I was 20, I was 23,
wow.
22, 23, and I had so many years to go, yeah. But I didn't have any direction. So my direction was once again up to me. So luckily I like to read. So I just devoured books. I studied the world. I studied anatomy, physiology, biomechanics. I read a lot. And then one thing led to another, and I stumbled across a magazine called Success Magazine and Entrepreneur. And it led me to books. It led me to books like Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, Seasons by Jim Rohn. I read all of John Maxwell's books on leadership. And they taught me about being an entrepreneur, and they taught me about just a different way of thinking, and I'm the creator of my thoughts. And it was an interesting concept, especially in prison. And then when I was 27, my mom died in Donovan State Prison, and my brother-in-law was actually a correction officer. He came to visit me with my sister and became a correction officer because of that. And I was asked to jump on the phone when it was count time. And I didn't understand why. Nobody's supposed to be out counting. I call home, and my mom's on the phone. And she doesn't tell me that she loves me. She doesn't tell me that she's proud of me. She just wanted me to change because from the time I came to America, I was just involved in gangs and violence, and that's all I'd known. But she wasn't aware that I was already on the verge of changing, right. And she died on the phone with me. So my level of grievance that I had was just getting off the phone, walking up the stairs, and back into the cell, and that was my grievance. That's the amount of time I had to grieve because I was in prison. So since then, I was 27, as I mentioned, and I got really, really addicted to fitness. I really stopped drinking. I stopped doing a lot of drugs, and I had to figure something else out, and I became addicted to fitness. And then fitness ultimately saved my life because I didn't have anything. I didn't really have anybody to talk to about my feeling. It was a very, very violent place. So it's not like something you can just talk about your feelings. Just so it's a little different. So I had to learn how to just be alone, be strong, and I delved more into my books, into creating some type of life that wasn't going to get me back in here. So then I ended up interviewing people. I interviewed countless people in prison. I asked them why they kept coming in and out. So I figured out some things that stood out to me. So then I started to watch them, and then I basically did everything that they did except opposite.
The opposite, right.
The opposite of what they did. So whether they did drugs, I didn't do drugs. They drank, I didn't drink. They watched television, I stopped watching television. I did everything opposite because I knew that all the tools that I needed was in front of me. I just needed to open up my eyes and and learn. And since being out, I think I've impacted so many lives that created a YouTube channel that talks about my story, and I interview countless people.
Let me stop you there for a second before we move to the future, to the present, because that is the next part of this. Let me ask you one more question about your past. So, do you have siblings?
Yeah, I have 3 siblings. 2 of them live here, and then one of them lives in a different state.
And are you older, middle, younger?
I'm the baby.
You're the baby of the fat man. That's cool, and you still have them. That's fantastic.
Correct. Yeah.
Good to hear. So let's do that. Let's use this little segue to cut into today, and let's cut to a quick commercial. When we come back, let's talk about what you got going on. You have so much going on, like your YouTube channel, your gym. There's so much we could talk about. So let's cut to a quick commercial. We'll be right back, guys. Jose here from the New Mindset of the Coachella Valley. Guys, you gotta learn how to take a load off. The work week is so stressful, and everyone here is always looking for the next best thing. You know what? Through the summer, we found a fantastic new place for you to check out. It's in the heart of Palm Springs, and they have so many events. Hotel Zozo.
End your work week with some pool time at Hotel Zozo and chill out to the hits from the 80s to the early 2000s during our Flashback Friday Night Vibes pool party, happening every Friday from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Go to Hotel Zozo palmsprings.com to book your cabana reservations.
All right, and we're back with Josif. So let me ask you about today, man. You have a channel that's called Letters to My Son, correct?
Yeah, it's a YouTube channel that I created.
And what came about? What gave you the title? What was the story behind that?
I have a son, and me and my son are estranged. I got a letter when I was in Tracy with a hologram with a picture saying that you're going to be a father. And I already had, this was back in 1999. I had 12 years ahead of me. I had no idea that I had a son, and he was like my anchor, and I would write him as often as I could. I had a relationship with him. And then when I got out, I got paroled to the family that raised him. And one thing led to another. They wanted me to be a parent. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any way to actually parent effectively because I didn't have any authority. So I was being undermined. I had to take a back seat, so it was pretty hard. And then I ended up moved in with my sister. And then my son he only wanted to spend time with me when he needed money. I was fresh out of prison. So it's been estranged, and I would try to talk to him. I tried to spend time with him, but he only wanted money. And then one thing led to another. I eventually said, it appears that you just want money from me, but I don't have that much money because I'm trying to get my life in order.
Yeah.
And he stopped reaching out. I stopped reaching out, and fast forward to where we're at now. I don't have a relationship with him. I talk about it in my YouTube channel, and I came up with the idea Letters to My Son because that's what ultimately saved. Another thing that saved my son, I had an anchor.
Yeah.
I had something to look forward to. I had something to aspire to want to be, which was a father. But now, if I'm honest, I'm just a biological donor because I'm not in his life. He has parental figures, people that raised him. He'll be 26 in September. So, the YouTube channel was created, and a lot of the pain that I went through in prison, and a lot of the pain that people go through out here, and there was a lot of shame that came from my past.
Right.
I did a lot of bad things, but through pain, I wanted to be prosperous to some extent. So I attached my son to that because he saved my life. Fitness saved my life, and even out here. I like the name of the YouTube channel, Letters to My Son, and then hopefully he watches it or he gets an opportunity to see it. If not, there's other people out there that I know that I've helped. So 1 week I talk about my past and things that I've went through, some struggles I went through and how I overcame them. And then the next week another one comes out where I'm interviewing people that's currently in my life and the things that I do for them and how I impact their lives today. So it's a reflection on who you are as a person 5-15 years ago isn't who you are today.
Sure.
So it's not as important who you were. It's more important what you are and what you want to create in the future and present.
It's really difficult to explain to people that moment in time they hold on to so dear, it's no longer the person you are. Or some people get stuck in this moment. You know, I'm guilty of it. You know, I fault my dad for some things. Growing up, there were things that maybe he did that I found that maybe, man, I can't connect with this man. You know, him and I clash all the time. And as he's gotten older and I've gotten older, I've come around. I've understood that, hey, you know what? He's just a guy trying to figure it out, just as I am in my life. And he went about it the best way that he could, but I had to go through my, you know, hits and falls and stuff to understand him. And it takes time, man. I mean, I'm 35 and I've only come around to him this year, and I've had like 29, 31 plus years of misunderstanding. I don't know that it's that I don't know that I hate my dad. I think I misunderstood him. And there are some things for sure that I 100% agree with you and say, you know what, this was wrong that you did this, but I don't know what came before that for that to have happened, you know, whether it was a bad day at work, whether it was something, you know, in my relationships with friends, family, and otherwise, I create some mistakes. And although I'm able to kind of come about and fix them, it doesn't mean that they're not relationships that are hurt now, you know, and it's just something that happens. And the channel that you've created attacks these situations. And you're right in saying that whether or not your son actually listens to them, somebody does, and they help someone. And the people that you sometimes feature, they take away something from it. I mean, I don't know if you've noticed it. I'm going to tell you something I noticed in a few of your videos. Sometimes the stuff you're talking about hits home, and you're just very raw in the way you talk, and the way people look at you is how I feel on a phone call with you. It's like, wow, this guy's just like gone through it. And like, he truly is sitting here with the success that he has today because of what happened yesterday. And that's something about you, brother. It's something about you that's so unique, so special to you. It's fantastic. Tell me more about your gym.
Well, when I got out 2011, I was on parole. So before I get into the gym, I needed to acquire work. But as a convicted felon, 12 years, I went in for attempted murder. I knew after all of the interviews that I conducted, that's going to be hard for me to acquire a job, for me to go into a place and, you know, can you hire me? Because they're going to look at my background. And so luckily I came into contact and I said, well, I'm going to create work. And then in prison, while I was cleaning the cell, I had an idea and I was like, I wonder if I could create a business cleaning houses. And I did. And I asked my parole agent if I can actually create a business called Bad Boy Cleaning, where I would go into people's houses and clean. And if they paid enough, I'd take my clothes off. And it wasn't for sexual favors, but it was more for adult entertainment. And I looked in the area, and nothing was like that. I also didn't know how to use the internet, didn't know how to use Facebook. So I was illiterate to all this stuff, but I had a lot of ideas. And I ran. Ignorance is bliss. I ran, and it worked. And they let me do it, and I acquired money legally. They knew where I was going because I had an ankle monitor on. But I knew that this wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to actually train, but I couldn't train yet. I went to college. I got a degree in advanced health and fitness. And then eventually I just got a certification and applied for 24-hour fitness. It was a free certification. It wasn't nationally recognized. So I had to train the district manager, and then I trained him. And then eventually, you know, I was knowledgeable. I knew science. I knew the body because I read a bunch of books.
Yeah.
And I got a job, and then I got promoted every single year. Became assistant fitness manager, became manager. I ran clubs, and I impacted all of the clubs that I ran because I didn't follow the trend.
Right.
I followed people and literature that was well ahead of the people that I was around. Then eventually COVID happened, and I worked for a gym called Lifetime, and I created a gym called Iron Flex Fitness from the pandemic. And then me and my business partner had a falling out, had to close the gym, relocated to another facility. And then a new one opened up here in Folsom called a self-made training facility, which is really, it's really big down south in San Diego and LA. So they're all over, but it's the only one in Northern California. So I'm the head trainer at Self-Made. Kenny, the owner, and he sought me out. We hit it off really well, and the rest is history. So I've been here for less than a year. It opened up in April, but I've been in the fitness industry since being out, and I've done very, very well.
And you do competitive as well, right? Competitive fitness?
I'm a competitive bodybuilder, yeah.
Wow. What's the bare minimum training regimen you got to go through to do that?
I would say you have to train at least 5 to 6 days a week to put on size. You have to diet rigorously. I mean, everybody knows big names like Ronnie Coleman, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jay Cutler, Phil Heath, Lee Priest. I mean, these are really, really big names in bodybuilding for males. And then, of course, there's their female side. So when I was away in prison, I used to read a lot of magazines, Flex, and I used to read Iron. And that's all I read was about bodybuilding. And like I said, fitness saved my life, and it kind of gave me an outlet. And then a friend of mine recommended that I compete, but I'm fully tattooed, and it's hard for me to compete. And because I'm tattooed, takes away from.
Is that still taboo to be tattooed and compete in it?
It's not that it's taboo, but it's very hard to see all of the striation.
I understand. Yeah, right. That's why they have to tan, because they're showing all the bits and details and all that stuff. Got it.
So I got a tan, but I'm also colored, so it's the contrast sometimes doesn't work. But I enjoy the sport, so I have a lot of clients that compete. I've taken many people to the pro level.
Fantastic.
And then I'm currently going back to Romania in November to compete in a world show.
Oh, you hit it. I was about to ask you about that. So let's cut to commercial. When we come back, let's talk about the future. You have a great goal in mind that you told me about. I can't wait to ask you about this. So let's cut to commercial. We'll be right back. Did you know that up to 80% of adults have stretch marks or scars? The new mindset of the Coachella Valley brings you JD Aesthetics, where they delve into the world of skin camouflage, stretch mark removal, and scar revision. Licensed paramedical tattoo specialist Joanna Davila Rios has a simple mission in mind: to help everyone embrace their natural beauty.
Enter New Conceal, a revolutionary skin tone correction treatment using tattoo technology. Joanna is certified to perform this incredible procedure, utilizing new skin tone reduction device and application to achieve precise color matching for seamless results. Join us as we explore the artsy and science behind the New Conceal technology. This beautiful coverage empowers individuals to love their skin that they're in.
Joanna brings personalized care and professionalism expertise to her clients.
Thank you so much, and we hope to see you soon.
And for more information, don't forget to visit jdaestheticsllc.com. And now let's get back to the show. All right, and we're back. So, Josif, tell me about the future, man. You're going to Romania to compete in a bodybuilding competition in the middle of everything going on there. Tell me about that, brother. What is the mind behind it? Walk me through it.
I've been following the show in Romania. It's Bucharest. It's the capital. I was born in Timișoara, and Bucharest is the capital. And they've really put on some phenomenal shows out there the past 7 years. And it kept popping up on my Instagram, and it popped up again. And I have enough time to actually diet to compete. And I've always wanted to go back to Romania, but I just never really pulled the trigger to go back. It's something always coming up. I say I'm going to do it, but I don't. And then I was just thinking to myself, wouldn't it be a phenomenal opportunity for me to actually be able to compete in the show? But I didn't know if I qualified or not. Because some shows you can't just show up to. Like you have to. It's a pre-qualifier. It's a world event.
It's a competition, full and through. Sometimes you got to go at the base level, then the next one.
Yeah, so I had to email the promoter and find out if I can actually compete in this. So based on how I did last year, I went to nationals and I placed first in another national qualifier. They said that I can compete in this one, and if I don't do it this year because I haven't competed all year in a national qualifier, I wouldn't be able to do it. So I had to decide, and I decided to do it, and I'm extremely excited to do it. One, I'm more excited because I get to go back home, but I also get to go back home and compete in a sport that ultimately saved my life. So it's kind of coming full circle.
It's full circle, yeah. Wow. Are you competing then as an American, or are you competing as a Romanian? That's something I wanted to ask you.
They asked where my place of origin is. I told them Timișoara, Romania. I'm undecided as to what language my routine is going to be in. So I don't know if it's going to be in Romanian. I don't know if it's going to be in English.
I mean, that when you and I last talked, it stayed in my head because I thought, wow, he's going to go over there. What is, you're right. I don't know the regulations. I don't know if you know them all, but I know sometimes they want you to like, they say, oh, we have an American coming in, but really you have both roots. Do you still speak the language?
Yeah, I still speak the language.
Okay. And so you, either way, whatever you do, you're gonna fit in, right? You kind of like, you know how to be both worlds, kind of.
To a certain extent, I know that the dialect is very, very different out there. It would be the same thing as if somebody speaks Spanish here and they were born, Mexican was born here in say California, but they go back to Michoacan or
you're right.
So it's going to be it's very, very fast. And then some of the enunciations are going to be different. So it's going to take a little bit of time for me to catch up because they may speak a little bit too fast.
Right. So you're going to be flying out. How long are you going to be staying out there for?
11 days. I'm going to fly out on the 6th and come back on the 11th. And I told a lot of my clients, and they're extremely excited for me. Some of them are happy that I'm competing. Some of them have never seen me compete before. So I've been competing for quite some time. I haven't made it to the pro level, partly due because the tattoos just take so much away.
Right.
And sometimes I have to put makeup on, and then they don't like that. So then other times, I don't have anybody to put the makeup on, so I just got to get tan. But I absolutely love the sport. Whether or not somebody's a pro or not, somebody to do something like this that's so extreme because it's an unhealthy extreme.
Right.
I mean, you get single digits body fat, you have veins all over. You have to train, you have to pose, and then you're under a tremendous amount of pressure.
That's
I have clients.
I
have 10 to 12 clients a day. I have a social life, so it's definitely something that will break a lot of people if they're not committed to it. But I enjoy it. In a sense, it reminds me a little bit about being in prison, because in prison you're always hungry. You're always hungry and you always want more, and this kind of keeps me alive. As crazy as that sounds, I love it. And
what are you going to do when you win that? Because you're going to win it.
When I win it, I don't know. I usually give my trophies and my medals away. I don't have a lot of them. I'll probably give it to somebody to inspire them to do something that they think that they can't do. Perfect. So I've done a lot of Tough Mudder, Spartan events, and I don't have a lot of the trophies. I always give them to my clients to encourage them to do more than what they think they can do.
Yeah. Well, that's good, man. I mean, honestly, that's a good way to go about it, and it's a good way to encourage somebody. And this is the perfect segue into the last part of this. Let's cut to commercial. When we come back, give me like the top 5 tips that you have for someone to kind of get into this world of competition and encourage people to kind of get out of what they do to find and explore something new. Does that sound good to you?
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic. Let's get to it. We'll be right back, guys. At every episode, I make sure my guest has my favorite drink in hand, BuzzBox. My favorite is the perfect margarita, and today we invited somebody from headquarters, Alicia, to tell us what her favorite is and why.
Hi, I'm Alicia here at BuzzBox headquarters, and if you ask me what my favorite cocktail is, I'd have to say the Tequila Paloma. From the sweet grapefruit to the zing of the lime, all you have to do is shake the box, pour it over ice, and it's ready to drink. Like having your very own bartender, BuzzBox is ready to serve you.
So if you don't already, follow us on Instagram at The New Mindset OTCV. You'll find our link tree with the direct link to our code for a 20% off on your next purchase.
Wow.
Find your flavor today. Now let's get back to the show. So we're back. Josif, please, if you could give us your top 5 tips. How can someone get away from their environment and better themselves? What are your top 5 tips for this?
Wow. To get away from their environment, meaning in an environment that isn't conducive to maybe who they are as a person or is negative and toxic.
Sure. I mean, 100%. That's the best knowledge that you have and you carry is how to grow from what you're growing up. You taught yourself to grow away from everything that was around you that was negative. What's something someone can do that's listening right now, that's surrounded by that? They don't know where to go. What's their first step?
I think first step is having direction. I think without direction, you don't really have anywhere to go. You're aimless. So I think having some form of direction is key. Like I had a direction that I wanted to be free. That was my direction. It also gave me a purpose, a newfound purpose.
Yeah.
So no matter what, I would say direction and purpose. And then another thing is, you definitely have to learn how to disassociate. You have to learn how to disassociate from your past thoughts, from your past peers, even in a place where you're surrounded by them. I mean, I did it in a place where I couldn't run away from anything because I was in a cell. But I knew that I still had to disassociate somehow, and the way that I disassociated was by recreating my thoughts and recreating myself. And I did that by creating new thoughts, new patterns, new habits, and I did that by taking in new information. So we can't change the hardware, but the software we can change. Like I can't change my body.
Oh my God, you said it so well. Oh God, that's a shirt. Put that on your shirt, man. That was fantastic.
You got to think about it. Most people in prison are not trying to change, or not trying to change. Always saying, "I'm gonna do it when I get out. I'm gonna do it when I get out." And I told myself, "This is the place that if I can do it in here, I can do it anywhere." Okay. But I needed new software. My new software was literature. My new software was also making sure that the deeply rooted traumas that I suffered are going to be challenged with the new software, with the new material. And I had to do it very, very consistently. So I had to be diligent about it. So we have direction, purpose, and then disassociation. Yeah. Fantastic. So we definitely have to disassociate, and I would probably say we don't have to have all of the information, but we do have to have a lot of application. So even today, with information, with technology, with books, with podcasts, with I mean, you name it. Everybody has the latest and greatest.
Yeah,
I would say maybe less information and more application to one or two tidbits. Disassociate, and then having new direction and purpose. And if somebody were to apply that every single day diligently, then the future is going to be paved by their hard work.
Yeah.
And how bad they want it.
That is the fantastic steps. Great knowledge. I don't even know how to begin to say thank you. You inspired me myself to kind of reprogram my software. You're absolutely correct. It's something I never thought about. Man, make that shirt, bro. I'll buy it. Put it on your site, okay? That's fantastic. I wear that hat all day. Oh shit, that's really good. Well, Josif, I want to thank you for your time, man. Could you believe we've been at this for 40 minutes? That's crazy, isn't it? It's easy. I love hearing your story, man. I mean, I heard it once before, but God, you're just so inspiring. I do hope that we get to meet sometime in the future, near future. We can sit down and just keep chatting, man. I mean, keep inspiring people, keep doing what you do. Thank you for all that you do. If nobody said it, let me tell you, what you're doing, inspiring other people and giving them the right path and the right tools. It's your experience, but you're the only one that can share it. And man, thank you for doing that, because that is hard work. It really is hard work.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. And I just want to end with this. I do appreciate you reaching out and giving me the opportunity to talk to all of your listeners. And I guess if I can leave them with something, your pain, don't let that actually be your purpose. Let your pain resonate. Let your pain be your new prosperity, instead of pain being your purpose. Because I find out with a lot of people that are in pain, whether it's trauma, that's their purpose. They live in that, and as opposed to getting out of it with three steps: disassociation, purpose, direction. And that will be very, very prosperous for everybody out there.
Fantastic. Well, thank you once again. Thank you for your time. And thank you to all of our sponsors for always supporting our shows. We are definitely going to tag everyone here on in. Remind us one more time, how can people get a hold of you if they want to reach out and ask you more questions, or just follow your channel? What would be a good way to go about it?
Well, I have my YouTube channel, Letters to My Son, and then I'm also on social media. So Instagram is Josif #4, JOSIF 4, and then Ironflex Fitness 2020 is also on Instagram, and then Josif Todorovits Facebook. So those are all the different platforms that I use.
Fantastic. So you heard it here, guys. If you want to reach out to Joseph, have any questions you have, you want to get inspired by his story, you want to tell it again, please reach out to him. We'll have the social media handles as well posted on all of our sites. Joseph, again, thank you for your time, man. And to all the rest of you listening, either have a great day or a good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you.